Horrible, it was pudgy,
Mortal,
beautiful teeth.
Yeah.
Anyway, dude, let's get to the important stuff. You're about to, show how many of our congressmen are pedophiles. How does that feel?
In this clip, Andrew Schulz is cornering Democrat Representative Ro Khanna with the hard questions, definitely surrounding this whole Epstein situation that seems to won't go away, which is a good thing that it won't go away. But Andrew Schulz has been feeling very deflated lately, especially with the Trump administration, and just looking at what's going on with the government and everything. And this Epstein case has really showed who's the wolf in sheep's clothing, if you will. So Andrew Schulz is going to, corner Ro Khanna with all the hard questions, make him admit the lies and all that kind of stuff. One thing about Andrew is that he knows how to de-escalate somebody and then get ready with the tough questions. With that said, too, he also just put out a post on his Instagram. He's had it with Trump. He's finished. We'll look at that a little later, like in a few minutes. But why don't we get started with this clip?
Well, look, it's a pretty simple thing, and to me, it's whose side are you on? Are you going to be on the side of the rich and powerful, basically getting their own justice, or are you going to be on the side of people who were participating in this being exposed? And I don't think it's a partisan issue. We should just release these files. People say, well, why didn't you do this earlier? And I didn't do it in the first Trump administration or Biden administration. The reality is you now have had the Attorney General tell the whole country that there's a list. And you had the president say that he's going to release it. So it's now become bigger than the Epstein files. It's an issue of trust. Like, people feel that the rich and powerful have their thumb on the scale. They're screwing folks. Life is hard. This has now become an issue of trust.
What do you think about the list? Do you think it exists? Do you think there are powerful politicians and businessmen on that list? What are your specific thoughts?
Yes, I think it exists. I mean, I think, look, I don't know if there's a specific entries of here are the people who went to Epstein's Island, but I think that there is evidence suggesting that there are a lot of powerful and rich people.
So let me explain why this answer to this question is always just so dumb to me, just real quick. Do you think there's a list? Yeah, I mean, I think there's evidence. I don't think it says who went on Epstein. Guys, this is called a blackmail operation, okay? It's not called I set you up for a little fun, haha. We just were jokes. It was just jokes. When you are setting up a blackmail operation of this magnitude, you have to have you have to have files on people. Like, you have to have some sort of organization system so that when said person decides that they want to go outside the realm and do something different than what they were supposed to do, you pull up their file and say, hey, remember, I got this. Okay, that's what's called blackmail. So when people I don't know why this question, when people answer it, they're like really hard to answer this, have a hard time answering this question. You have a file, I mean, come on, you got to have something organized, or else you would just have papers, or what? You would just have your memory? It doesn't make any sense. That's the whole point of blackmail.
Who were on these plane rides, who frequented some of these parties. And, the standard at the DOJ is you don't release information unless someone is charged. And I get that. I get that you don't want to destroy people's lives. But this has become way too big. You have accusations now of intelligence agencies involved, of national security involved. And so the president, campaign, should just say, in this case, we're going to release everything. We're going to protect the victims, but we're going to release everything so the American people can decide.
Can you explain what the amendment is, essentially? Because you're proposing an amendment, right?
Yeah.
And what would that make Congress do exactly?
So basically, if the amendment passes, it would require Pam Bondi to release the list and any evidence, any files within 30 days.
But before that, just proposing the amendment would make each congressman go up in front of Congress and say whether they're pro-releasing it or against releasing it, right?
Absolutely right. But
that to me is the most interesting thing, because then you get to see who's in the pocket, if there is a pocket to be inside of.
Totally agree. But the dirty secret in Congress is it's not how you vote, it's what we're allowed to vote on.
What does that mean?
Meaning that the speaker is going to try to probably stop this from coming to a vote. So I introduce it. Today's Monday. I introduced the amendment. And on Monday night, the Rules Committee of Congress meets. It's like the high priest, right? There are about 9 people on this committee, and they get to decide whether Congress even gets to vote on my amendment or not.
Can you tell the good people right now that are watching, hopefully millions, who those 9 people are that get to decide whether or not we get to see if congressmen and congresswomen are supportive of releasing the Epstein file? Who are those 9 people?
Let me get the exact names. I'll just look it.
Do it. Look it up. Take your time.
Look it up right now. The Rules Committee is basically appointed by the Speaker, but here are the.
Take your time. There's no rush.
So, okay. Because the thing is, it didn't matter. Because at the end of the day, the 9 names, you guys can look it up if you want to say, but I'm really seriously not going through that. And I kind of want to go to the situation that's going on with Trump and Andrew Schulz now. But the thing is, Roe, what he said was, well, it all depends if we're even allowed to do a vote on it. And that's the thing. See, this is a little in hindsight, like this conversation happened like a few days ago, maybe last week or something, right? Speaker Mike Johnson rushed to close the Congress session for early recess right before they would be able to vote on it. So that says a lot. And then he said, no, that's not what I did it for. The next thing you know, Mike Johnson was in Israel. I don't know. It's all just too confusing to me. But I want to discuss Andrew Schultz's last comment on Donald Trump. We're going to use the Breaking Points clip because they're the one reading from his Instagram. I don't have Instagram pulled up or whatever. I don't have an Instagram. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Let's get to the next part here. My old friend Andrew Schulz. Perhaps, we're just covering this just broadly as some of the podcast guys continue to break here with Donald Trump. Let's go and put this one up there on the screen. This is from screenshots from Andrew Schulz's Instagram. He says, quote, "You don't break your word breaks you." And this is from a Washington Post article from our friend Jeff Stein. It says, "Trump promised to mandate IVF care. The White House says there's no plans to do so." He continues talking about some assistance, IVF assistance grants to a private charity, saying real Donald Trump flip-flopped once again on a campaign promise. This was kind of a core issue for him because him and his wife had fertility struggles, which he talks openly about in his special, which everybody can go watch. But this was a good peg just to the actual announcement. Let's go to hear from Jeff Stein, who followed up on this in an excellent story over at the Washington Post. It says, "The White House does not plan to require health insurers to provide coverage for in vitro fertilization services to people with knowledge of the internal discussion," said, even though the idea was one of Donald Trump's key campaign pledges. Last year, he said if he returned to office, the government would either pay for IVF or issue rules requiring insurance companies to cover treatment for it. Pledge came as Trump faced political blowback over the abortion issue. Quote, "The government is going to pay for it, or we're going to get it. We'll mandate your insurance company to pay for it, which is going to be great. We're going to do that." He said in August of 2024, "We want to produce more babies in this country," right?
So, yeah. So, basically, there are a lot of people complaining about this administration that the promises made are not being the promises kept. I mean, it's just really kind of the reality of the situation, to be honest. I don't really think anybody's saying anything wrong. Especially when you said you were going to do it. And I remember him talking about this IVF because it actually was a polarizing issue with conservatives because there's like something to it where, if the babies, like the fertilized eggs, if they don't like take and then you toss them, so it is kind of like a form of like, like ending a life kind of thing. So it was like a real discussion. This thing was like a whole hardcore discussion. Me personally, when he was saying all this, I just kind of felt weird about it from the jump because I don't know why. I just kind of felt like, why is he doing this? Like, why is he forcing? It was going to be like the government was going to pay for it. And I'm like, I don't feel like paying for everybody's IVF because, when they say the government is going to pay for something, that means we're paying for it. Like, what the government doesn't make some sort of money. The government doesn't sell merch. That's our tax dollars, right? Or, the inflation, obviously, of printing money, but whatever. This is not that kind of lesson here. We're not doing lesson plans here. So, him saying that, and it did, because I guess since he used the IVF, that was something personal to him. It probably made him look at Trump like, oh my gosh, you're really trying to help families or something. I don't know. He probably had a personal feeling about it, obviously. And I'm sure there's other people who probably was waiting for that, and now they're not going to get it, and they're upset. But, a lot of people have been starting to count on the list of the things that Trump has not been getting done. And the list is starting to grow. So I don't know, but it is going around, though, that like the podcast bro world is done with Donald Trump. But I don't know if I'm fully ready to say that at all. We're not even, are we even, January, August, we're like 7 months into, 7-8 months into this presidency. So I don't want to say that they're done with him, but I do think a lot of people are frustrated. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.